太多的药。哦，
我们现在上线了啊！来，会长您先请。
各位佛光人吉祥。
大家好。
Auspicious blessings, all the devotees. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the President, David Yu, to invite us here to be the guest speaker so that everyone has a chance to actually attend this Dharma talk of the 4 must lessons. As Venerable Master Xu has called out, the humanistic Buddhism is actually promoting joy and happiness in our life. Regardless of we're facing the challenges posed by the aging, sickness, illness, and other challenges in our lives, we should always adopt a very optimistic mindset towards those challenges, and also have the faith and hope towards our life. So to speak, that the 4 basic important challenges in life and can also be contributor to our better practice in our life. Born and raised up in Ipoh, Malaysia, Dr. Eric Chen took refuge in Triple Gems and the Venerable Master Xu back in the 1980s. Dr. Chen pursued his further medical training in Kaohsiung Medical University and headed the Buddhist Studies group of Foguangshan, Taiwan during his stay in Kaohsiung. Upon graduating from Kaohsiung Medical University, Dr. Chen also received his Master of Arts in Life and Death Studies from Nanhua University in 2001. Being a proactive promoter for life and death education, Dr. Chen was invited to be the lay Dharma teacher by Foguangshan in 2003. During the past decade, not only did he successfully complete his PhD studies in Australia, published 5 books on life and death, he was also hired as a senior lecturer in Medical School of Griffith University, and has been promoting relentlessly the humanistic Buddhism and life and death education worldwide during many years. So today we're extremely honored to invite Dr. Eric Chen as our guest speaker for the Dharma talk with the topic of life, which will also conclude our 4 Muslim lessons. So welcome to Dr. Eric Chen. Thank you very much, President Arthur Liu. I'm very glad that I can actually be the guest speaker today and also have the chance to share with you some of my insights and on this topic of life. And we would also like to invite everyone who's attending this Dharma talk today online to take the opportunity to raise your questions in the chat box, and we can take some of those Q&As towards the end of the session today. And we would like to really have some interactive discussions and dialogues with everyone today during this 50 or 60 minute session today. Back to our topic today. During the first Dharma talk for aging, Venerable Xingding told us that aging is gold. So Dr. Eric Chen, what is your thoughts on this from the perspective of life? So actually I have personally known Venerable Xingding for many years. Back then, my parents visited Foguangshan in Kaohsiung, so he actually received them. And now he's heading the Taihua Temple in Thailand, so I'm really actually honored to also hear what Venerable Xingding shared during the first Dharma talk 3 weeks ago. So he advised us and told that aging is gold, which is a very important step in our life. So first of all, we need to understand why Venerable Xingding would call out that aging is gold. So from the perspective of life, I would like to give the elaboration as below. I recall that Venerable Master Sheng established Foguangshan Monastery at the age of 65 for being in such a high age, which almost retire for a normal person. So for a normal person, this is a really great achievement to be able to accomplish something that big. So aging is actually really a demonstration of maturity, of a life experience. So from their perspective of for life, when we are young, we already need to prepare ourselves for their stage of aging in our life cycle. So my mom also told me very often that you would know how aging will look like once you get there. So this often very much also reminds myself that I need to be fully prepared for this old age already now during this daily life and practice, instead of waiting until when it comes. So why would already need to start thinking about their aging when we are young? So today we would like to also give you some tips and also sharing as to how best to actually prepare for the aging stage in our life, and also how to tackle sickness. So first of all, how should we actually take and also getting along with the senior people around us? So based on like my own experience, I always think my mom as my teacher when I was young, and during the past 2 decades, I actually became the teacher of my mom, because I've been sharing with her a lot of my personal and professional advice. And today, my mom is also online to watch my Dharma talk today, so I apologize to my mom. Sometimes I'm maybe a little bit impatient. So first call out to us is that we should be very patient and showing our empathy and compassion to those senior people around us. I think this understanding is no stranger to all of us. We are all very familiar with this saying that we should show respect, compassion, and empathy to those old people around us. However, it's very difficult to actually really carry it out in our behaviors on a day-by-day basis. So our thoughts and our perspectives and our connections and feelings towards those old people around us is very much associated with our perspectives towards life. So just to give you an example, my mom always just would tell me to eat meals on time and to just bring umbrellas with you when it's raining. And sometimes I felt like I'm a little bit like irritated by that, because when she repeats it so often, I felt like it's just like a cliche. And I feel like she's telling me that she has no confidence for my ability to actually take care of myself. Maybe that is true. However, I actually not necessarily have to really, kind of exaggerate that point towards myself. And just to give you another example of my work, So some patients, when they came to visit me, and I asked them, why do you come to visit me? And they actually told me that because his wife is not sure about his health, so would like to have a full checkup. So it actually, I would then tell the patient that because then your wife really cares about you, and that's why she would ask you to come and visit the doctor. And my mom usually tells me that once you become old, and then you would have a lot to regret, and you would regret that you could actually be showing more compassion and empathy to those around you when you were young. So, and to put that to the sharing advice, so if we can actually already show our compassion and empathy to those old people around us and help them and care them to every extent we can, then we would have much less to regret and repent when we become old ourselves at the later stage.
像今天早上，我这个儿子是喜忧都报。今天早上我看马来西亚。
Like this morning, I was reading the news for Malaysia.
郑登成老先生，
and there was an old person who passed away at the age of 86. And I shared this news with my mom and told her about the news of the passing away of Mr. Jen at the age of 86. Actually, my mom was actually older than Mr. Jen.
那种差不多的心态，这个是很难去调试的。好，结果我妈妈回。
And then just to put myself in the shoes of my mom, and also read about the news who passed away at a younger age than mom, and what the mom feels about. And then I'm also sharing with you the message from my mom, how my mom responded to the news. I was actually very at peace and pace, and I was not really afraid of this news, as long as I actually maintain the positive mindset and live every day within the current moment. I really appreciate all your care for me, and also good luck with your lecture today. So I was really impressed with the attitude and also the response by my mom, who also has shows and demonstrate a very positive mindset towards life and also towards aging.
我的母亲这样的回答，你能够不把它当好？她既有智慧，又会去祝福我们。
So my mom's response really demonstrated that aging is old. Aging is gold.
这么老的，真的要在身边还有长辈的时候，在我们这个生的时候。
Back to myself, I'll become 50. I'll turn 50 in 2 months' time. So I'm actually not that young anymore. So I could have a better understanding of the advice given by my mom, and also showing the empathy to others around us.
你回想到你自己，你会觉得说，当我年轻的时候，我应该做的，我都有尽量做到。我的心里面没有这么多的遗憾。
And once our mind doesn't have that many regrets for what happens in the past and for our own behaviors in the past, then we would feel much more at ease during our daily life. All right, now I would just like to stop here and give it back to you, President Arthur Liu. So based on your sharing, we can really see that in order to fully prepare for aging, we should really start in our everyday life already now when we are young. During the first Dharma talk, Venerable Xingding also advised us to remember to dedicate ourselves to more diligent practice and train ourselves to let go of attachments during the daily life, especially at an old age. So Dr. Eric, back to you. What is your take on this from the perspective of life?
他才答应当我的主持人。他本来他只需要录1分钟介绍我，介绍完了他就下班了。
So I would really like to give thanks to President Liu, who actually accepted my invitation to be their guest with me today. And President Liu would also be very busy because this afternoon he would also be attending the regular monthly meeting for Fogongxuan. So I really appreciate his great support for the Dharma talk today. So I still really record that Venerable Xingding remind us to dedicate ourselves more diligent practice despite an old age. Even though our life has a span, have an end in the end, however, our wisdom, our ability to acquire the knowledge and the truth of this life is boundless. The body, our personal physical body is like a house. So we should not be really attached to the body. However, how do you fully utilize this body is actually very essential. So like the Zhongtian Temple in Queensland, and we're now already entering the second stage of the construction and the planning for Zhongtian Temple. So really would like to welcome everyone to visit us when you can. So while we actually practice diligently in our daily life, it's equally important to let go of things and people and other attachments in our life. So we only have 40 minutes to go before we actually conclude the 4 Dharma talks. Before the next series will come. And the next series of the Dharma talk would actually rely upon the vows. So if we can actually also apply this 2 sides of training in our daily life, it's just similar to like their life cycles, and which actually repeats between the birth and death, and there will be beginning and end for everything we do. So the reason why Venerable Xingding actually call out the importance to let go of is that because for an old people, they don't have a lot of time left, so it's important not to attach to a lot of the things around them. And the advice from my side would be that we should really start practicing the dedication and also dedication to the practice, and at the meantime, letting go of training ourselves to letting go of all the attachment at the younger age. Then it would become a natural habit of ourselves when we become old later, and we wouldn't find it much difficult to actually implement afterwards. All right, moving on to the next part. During the second Dharma talk for sickness, Venerable Yongwen highlighted that sickness is an inevitable part of our life, and Venerable has also shared her valuable tips as to how to befriend and co-live with sickness based on her personal experience. So Dr. Chen, back to you. What is your understanding of this based on the perspective of life? So from the Buddhist point of view, our teacher Sakyamuni Buddha, the reason why he actually started the practice and became enlightened eventually, the original cause for that is because he has witnessed the aging, the sickness, the death before he renounced the lay life. So this is a very important course which contributed to his final enlightenment. So I would really like to encourage everyone who hasn't got a chance to watch the video by Venerable Yongwen to actually take the chance and watch it yourself, which would actually bring you a lot of great insights and great understanding of sickness. So back to our life. So when we were healthy, how should we actually view sickness and be preparing for that? So to put it to more details, when we are healthy, we should already start and prepare mentally that and also give a better foundation of our body so that when sickness comes, it won't be that bad, and also we wouldn't be not having any preparation either mentally or physically.
他就很烦恼了，他就说：“哇，你看我又运动，然后我又吃的那么清淡，我又这个又那个又那个，我怎么还会生病呢？”
And for those who actually pay a lot of attention to well-being and also health and nutrition in their lives, and once the sickness strikes them and comes, and they will become very agitated and scared as to how come I still get sick after all this attention to the well-being in the daily life. So one very important call out is that sickness is an inevitable part of our life. So just to provide another example based on Venerable Xingding as well, who has suffered from the diabetes and also joint replacement numerous times. And not to mention the big operation that he has went through for his brain. So we should can also draw from this that even though Venerable Master Xing is such a great master and also person with great many accomplishments, then he would still suffer from sickness. So the importance and the key thing here is not whether we will become sick or not. However, it's how we actually handle when the sickness comes and what is our perspective towards that. And also just Back to the 5-month treatment methodology shared with us by Venerable Yongwen. I would like to not cover the details here today, but I would like to ask you to actually read it yourself later when you have time. So one of the 5 months treatment shared by Venerable Yongwen is that we should have a mind of joy and also be grateful and appreciative of whatever we have been able to enjoy and experience in our life. So we could decide and we could control whether we want to be happy or not. This is a very subjective personal feeling and no one can really influence us externally. We could have full control of how our minds functions and how we would like to be mentally. So when the bad karma and the negative things happen to us, we should actually be starting to repent and also understand this is actually the result of our past wrongdoings, either in the past life and also in this life. And everything has a reason behind this, and this might not be very visible and evident to us. However, we should firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. And we should also not use this to scold other people and tell them that whatever they have suffered today is because of their past joys. Since it is the karma and the life cycle is such a complicated mechanism which is not very easy to explain, so it's better not to really say this to others. But on the other hand, we should adopt a mind of gratitude and appreciation for all the things and courses around us. So like for today, I really would like to thank dear President David Yu from Melbourne for Gongshan, who gave me the chance today to share with you my personal opinion. And we should always remind ourselves to be calm and live in the current moment. And to feel the nature and the surroundings. And once there is birth, there is death. Once there is a rising, there is ascension. So towards the end of the last Dharma session by Venerable Yongwen, Venerable has also advised us to live with a mind of non-attachment in our life. And this is also exactly what the Dharma Sutra has been talking about, that we should live with a mind of non-attachment. So our attitude and our perspective towards life should really be based on the Prajna wisdom, which is actually the emptiness and all the true nature of our world, our universe, and ourselves. And this is also what the diamonds have been talking a lot, that we should practice mindfulness. and by not attaching to any things and any people in our life, and just to experience with an equal mind and a peaceful mind. And just like my mom, as response, she actually always adopt a very gratitude mind towards all the things happen to her, regardless of being good or bad things. So in our daily life, we should be conscious about our health and well-being, both mentally and physically. So once the sickness comes, then we wouldn't be feeling so upset. But on the other hand, we would have a mind of gratitude and be able to live at peace and ease. However, I think it might be more simplistic to say rather than to do. So it really needs to actually practice in our life rather than just the talking simply. And the life cycle of aging, sickness, death, and birth is actually it's such an inevitable part, which cannot be really changed based on our own personal judgment. Thanks so much for your sharing, Dr. Chen. So I would like to just remind you that we have received a lot of questions from our audience today online. So maybe we could already take some of those questions now. So I would like to also maybe share with you I would like to ask your opinion and perspective on the near-death experience shared by Miss Sophia Cho last week. Sure. Actually, Miss Sophia Cho is one of those very few people who actually talks greatly about the near-death experience based on her unique personal sharing at an early age. And I would encourage you to listen to that Dharma talk if you haven't got a chance. And one of the sharing and call out by Miss Sophia is that we should not be afraid of death, but be afraid of birth and life. And the reason for that is that if we haven't actually committed good things in our life during our everyday life, then we haven't accumulated enough merits. So when the death comes, we will be suffering from our own past doings. So the near-death experience is actually telling us that there is no birth, neither death. So if that is the truth, then how should we live and how should we die? Like the news I received from Malaysia, who is actually a friend of my dad who passed away at the age of 86. Who actually has been contributed a lot and also built a building, a high rises in Malaysia. So some of those things, like in our life, we may think it's very important, and this is such a great thing in our life. However, when compared with death, this may seem such a small thing, a little thing we don't really care about any further compared to death. And the reflection and the thinking on there is no birth, neither death repeatedly in our lives can help us actually fully and better understand the truth of the life, and also be mentally prepared for when those things come to us.
为什么我常常想生命不死？以前已经做很多，这一次不用做这个事情，那以后做不做，那以后再算。哦，那过去当我有这样的观念的时候，有人说：“你这个大逆不道，你这个传宗接代很重要。”
So in the past, I used to have this thought that things there is no birth or death. Then what's the point of getting married and having a family and having kids? And then some people actually said this is such a wrong thinking. This is not a good thing to do.
这1000多个医生每天在外面看病人，他一个人看30个就够了。那是多少个病人被看每天？30个，3万人啊！那一年365天，你去算一算，我儿孙满堂啊，对不对？
And because that we in the Buddhist saying that we say that all the people around us have been our parents or relatives in the past lives. So like for being a doctor, like I've been seeing like almost on an average basis like 10 patients on a day and 30 patients on a day, and thinking of there is like 1,000 doctors in a hospital, and then you can calculate how many patients we actually see during a month's time, and those were all our relatives and family members in the past. So what's the point of only just limiting your ideal family towards your own family?
让佛法能够一直的传播，让更多的人能够得到自在。这个就是在了解了生命不死之后，我们应该要去做的事情。好，我们现在剩下23分钟的时间有 Q&A， 我是很。
All right, so we only have like 20 minutes left for today's session. So now let's move on to the Q&A session.
开始进来还要半个钟头了。对了，我在家里面录了录，然后就寄给那个于会长说，你就去把它放在网上去播就好了。
To take some of the questions, I'm really excited about this this process.
第一个问题啊，
Because I really appreciate the interaction between the
人
audience.
生的旅途上，人生这个生还特别引号啊，人生的旅途上，面对老病死生，我们应该如何培养正能量？
So the first question from the audience is that when faced up with the aging, sickness, death, and life, how can one maintain a positive mind on a journey of life?
我在想说，如果我讲了半个小时，他还问这个问题，然后他就是要把我没有讲清楚，要不然他没有听懂哦。
这是在一开始，
这一开始 OK 啊，没关系。Okay.
All right. Actually, this has already been covered by my earlier sharing today. However, I'll still repeat it again here. So once we adopt a positive mindset towards life, it's very important to actually be mindful of what we experience in life, and also understand the truth of this universe, and also the truth of life. Like this year, we have suffered from the COVID-19. Which is very a painful experience for a lot of people worldwide. However, we should still actually develop a positive mind to find out the things that we should feel appreciative and gratitude about, even during such situation. Like from my own personal experience, I usually actually visit Malaysia 4 or 5 times a year. However, due to the COVID-19 situation, I couldn't actually go back to Malaysia with my family members. So like for instance, how can I actually have a positive mind towards COVID-19, which has such a big impact on my life and also changed my life a lot. So it must be very difficult to actually be appreciative of the COVID-19. So the tips I would be given for that is that, first of all, we need to accept the fact and embrace the difficulties instead of rejecting it. Like in the past, I usually fly a lot to many different places. Like this year, I've been given the online lectures and Dharma talks instead of flying and giving the physical talks everywhere. So until now, actually, what actually comes positive is that I have been able to have more than 100,000 subscribers for my personal channel on YouTube. Which is actually a much bigger number of people that I've been able to connect with and interact with online compared to the physical Dharma talks I was delivering like on site, which is at maximum maybe 20 or 30,000 audience. So the first step is to accept whatever happens to us, and to face it with right attitude. Like in Australia, a lot of people ask me like, "How are you every day?" And then the response I gave is that I'm okay, and I'm not great or good. So this is actually being honest with myself and being honest with the life every day. And we're in the process of the COVID-19 situation, which is actually a reality. And I've been talking about for this for more than 40 minutes. And does that look like a person who is only okay, or who is who looks great? So being okay doesn't not necessarily mean that you cannot be happy. Being okay is actually that I determined to actually embrace all the challenges mentally, but then I actually also start to appreciate whatever we have experienced in our life. For instance, today we are now the part of the Foguangshan. We are a member of Foguangshan community, and we have the chance and a great opportunity to be able to learn and guided by Venerable Master Xing and so many other Venerable. So this is definitely something we should be feeling grateful about. So it's all about being able to discover and also explore the things in our life that we should be able to find and appreciative about. And when we are not happy in our life, my advice to you is that we should start to calm down and meditate and slow down our life activity. And just try to think about those people who have actually been working so hard to contribute towards our life, such as Venerable Master Xing and so many other great people who've been working relentlessly for a better environment for us and for a better life for us. And also start to focus your attention on your breathing, just to breathe in and breathe out. And during this process, to feel and to connect yourself with your surroundings and your environment, and to also be able to interact with those others who are around you, and who can also instill and give you the power for the other person. So I hope that you are satisfied with my answer for that. So thank you for your answer, and it also reminds me of the saying by Venerable Master Xing that as long as we have a will, there is a road, and as long as we have Dharma, there is a way.
赶快 Google 他的这个影片，拿来播一下。你看今天的这个目前45分钟，满满的正能量，是不是？所以这个实在太简单。
So really, thanks for all the positiveness you demonstrated today during the past 40 minutes, Dr. Chen. So now let's move on to the next question.
目前为止还
那还好，可以，好的。 好的好的，好好，来我来问，我来回答。
他说有一位老人家自己有总是说不要活那么有意思，那我们应该要怎么开导
？So next question is from an elderly woman who lives alone and often says, "Don't live for so long because there is no meaning for that." So how would you give advice to her?
下一个问题就来给你考试了，这个不想活，看你怎么正能量。所以好在我刚刚在回答第一个问题的时候，我很诚实。我说你首先要接受生命的是现实，而不是什么东西都是。
So back to the answer I've been providing for the first question, that we should actually have a positive mind towards life.
得到生命的这个快乐。
Then the key to that is also again to understand and embrace the truth of life.
他今天的生活的困境就是卡在一个这样的地方。那你能怎么办？我给你几个方法。
So it would be quite difficult to actually change her mindset, but I will still try to give you some advice from my side. So first, I would like to say you should actually start to read and also maybe recite the prayer for the sickness compiled by Venerable Master Xing Ming.
我在医学院里面教书，我们教学生，这是医学生一堂课叫做困难病情告知。这个困难病情告知的
one of the training that we would also be given to the medical school students is we should be actually frank and honest about the difficulties that we are going to experience and have full understanding and analysis of the potential difficulties that are yet to come. And back to this question from this online audience.
就是一直给他否定哈，我跟你讲，你越否定他越坚持，因为他自己活得很不快乐啦。
And the more you try to reject, and then the other person will exist more. For instance, if you try to give the advice that you're still alive and you can breathe, and then the other person will probably or most likely respond to that, what's the point of breathing at such an old age? So it actually is not an easy process to transform, and it takes a lot of effort to actually practice the empathy and to actually accept and embrace the truth of our life. So it's not something that is possibly to be covered during today's Dharma session, fortunately.
活得真的没有意思，真的不晓得你活着是要干什么，他就马上就给他跳下去了哦。你不要这样子，你只是从你的慈悲的角度去看着他的哀伤。
So whoever would like to give the advice should actually adopt an independent mind, and then to give the compassion.
很多人要受苦吧，千手观音的样子啊，永远就是慈悲。
And just like the other would be Svara Bodhisattva with 1,000 arms, which actually is a demonstrator and a representation for compassion and empathy.
就刚刚这个永文法师说的这个平静的心。
And when you look at the Guanyin Bodhisattva's face, you would have the feeling of calmness. This is the mind of non-attachment. This is a mind of compassion and love. And if you also carry this love and compassion to those people who you want to visit, the other people can actually feel your compassion, can connect with you as well to some extent, even though he or she might not explicitly express that. So that's why I strongly advise you to actually read the prayer for the sick by Venerable Master Xing Ming, to actually instill and pass on the confidence and the compassion to the people who you actually visit. So sickness is actually not that much difficult. However, if we have a mind that doesn't have joy or that doesn't have compassion, is really bad. Well-being is not only limited to physical health, but more importantly, relates to the mental health and well-being, which includes and embraces compassion, empathy. So try not to reject other person's opinion and sayings. Just listen. Just listen carefully and patiently, and don't judge. Just listen. Simply listen with care and with attention. Just to accept whatever the other person says and listen, and be a good listener. Don't need to just fight with the other person and reject the other people's opinion. And last few days ago, I visited my mom, who is also being treated with the medication for cancer. And then Dr. Chan's mom told him that I would be stopping on the medication if the situation doesn't improve. And for a normal person, then this will be really causing a lot of agitation. However, when the way I responded to my mom is that I try to explain the pros and cons of stopping the medication to her, and try not to make the judgment for her. However, just to explain both sides of the situation of continuing or stopping the medication, and leave it up to her to make the decision finally. And back to the question. If possible, just try to let the old people to have the chance to feel more and also stay outdoors to the extent possible and get to feel the nature, like see the sky and watch the trees and feel the breeze of the wind and hear the sounds of the nature. And she can feel the vitality and the nature itself. So hopefully this actually gives you some help. So we only have 6 minutes left. Let's see if we have any other more questions.
安住的住。刚刚您提到的这个无助心，当然大家都对这个不是很了解。当然不了解，这个是不容易了解的事。
So this question is about the mind of non-attachment, which is not a very difficult, which is not a very easy question.
是吗？在您的眼中，这个生究竟是起点还是终点？这个也是大家问，还是生命的轨迹是一个生生不息、轮转的圆呢？
So this question is about the 4 different stages of the life, which is the aging, sickness, death, and birth. So is birth the beginning or the end? So first of all, the mind of attachment, non-attachment.
教大家说哈，这个大师啊，还有这个慧昭法师啊，他有写一本这个《金刚经》的智慧嘛。
So because this is such a large topic, so I wouldn't be able to elaborate in much detail during the talk today. However, I would encourage you to read the book, which is with the topic of explanation and elaboration on the Diamond Sutra by Venerable Master Hsing and Venerable Hui Zhao, if you have time later. However, just to give you a very simple metaphor and explanation, like if I turn the camera to another angle, then you wouldn't be able to see myself or the president. So if you actually stay with and or live with attachment in your life, then you actually cannot see the full picture of the life or the truth. However, on the other hand, if you actually maintain a mind of non-attachment, then you will be able to have a comprehensive overview. However, this is something that is not possible to be interpreted or just thought about. Because as long as you actually attach your mind on it and start to think, then it's not actually essentially a mind of non-attachment. So like the Diamond Sutra has mentioned that there is no phenomena of aging, the sick, the old, or the dead. And just like when we help and give assistance or hand to other people, we don't differentiate and we don't expect a return favor from others. So be able to contemplate and also understand is different from being attained or enlightened of the truth. And that's the reason why the masters of Chan school don't talk much at all, rather that I have been talking so much today. So the masters of the Chan school, they will not talk, but only just give you some advice.
金刚经讲完，就是说他从这个社会层啊，出去乞食啊，回来复坐而坐下来，他就讲完了，他金刚经讲完了。但是须菩提他说。
Just like in the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha hasn't actually talked anything, and just like started that the Buddha comes back from giving the alms, and then started to sit down, and then because the Shri actually requested upon the Buddha to explain, so that's why the Buddha actually started to give the teachings, the Dharma teachings. So this is really something that cannot be taught.
为什么呢？你在发心服务的过程之中，你的我会一直受到挑战。
So the advice I would give you today is that try to be a volunteer. You can do volunteer in Fogonshan temples, for instance, and because when you actually contribute to others, and then you actually it's a practice of letting go of your personal ego and to have a more deeper understanding about how to liberate in our life. So liberation is not something that can be taught in classes, but need to really attain, being given and obtained by practice in the daily life. So birth or life is neither the beginning nor the end, because life is actually a cycle. So whether it is the end or the beginning is not a key. What really matters is that how to actually live our current moment and our current life to its full extent, so that we can actually have a great platform and a foundation for the next step for our life, which can also we prepare ourselves for the liberation eventually. So that's all. I hope that you have benefited something out of my talk today. So again, auspicious blessings, and thank you so much to the Fogonshan, Melbourne, the team, and we really hope that we would have another opportunity to actually connect with you, Dr. Erickson. Thank you so much, and thanks for joining our online Dharma talk today, and auspicious blessings, and have a great day.